everyone. We want to welcome you today to the We Are Flora Pearl podcast. I am your host, Latasha J. Humphrey, founder of the Flora Pearl Foundation, Incorporated. I am super excited about this podcast today, but before we get started, we want to let our audience know that this podcast is being brought to you by the Flora Pearl Foundation, where our vision is bridging the gap, building a legacy. Our mission is that we are a 501c3, community-focused nonprofit mentoring organization, building healthy relationships and partnerships between women and girls through education, community service, networking, unification, and career planning. Our inspiration is Flora Pearl Humphrey. She was my paternal grandmother, and what she taught me and my family was about faith, family, and community. And that is where I draw my inspiration from. Now, audience, I have the pleasure of introducing you to some beautiful gems in my family. They are all directly related and have a special connection to Flora Pearl Humphrey. So I want to say hello, everyone. How you doing?
Hello.
Awesome. It's such an honor to have you with us today. And so if you would individually just go ahead and introduce yourself and how you're connected to the family.
I'm Mary Smith, nicknamed Edie. And I'm the cousin. I'm a cousin in the family, right?
Okay.
I am Tamra, Barbour, and Flora Pearl was my auntie.
All right.
Paula Moss, and Flora Pearl was my mom.
All right.
Mary McDuffie, Flora Pearl was my baby sister.
Patricia, Dockery, and Flora Pearl was my mom.
Mashanda Scott and Flora Pearl was my grandmother.
So it's awesome. So thank you all so much for introducing yourself. And this meeting has definitely been one that I've been waiting for a long time. And I'm so very grateful to God for this opportunity to be with you all today, because we definitely have several generations present today. So we want to go ahead and get started. And the first topic will be about remembering Flora Pearl. So if you would, Edie, go ahead and tell us your fondest Flora Pearl memory.
Oh, wow. I want to say over on Comiskey, but no, I really think it was over on Pulaski. I think it was Pulaski. I remember she was in her room, and I went in there to say something to her, and she told me, get on up in the bed, and we laid up in the bed and talked. So I think that was it, because just laying in the bed with her, that was...
Just to have that
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
That's beautiful. And if you, I know, your time is limited with us today, but we want to thank you so much for being with us. And is there anything that you wanted to share just with our audience?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, that works. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, go ahead, Tam, if you would.
It's hard to say what was my fondest memory about her, because one thing I always said, she was such a positive person, positive. I remember being in school, being in college, and when, things were getting rough and, some people were saying, well, maybe it's too hard, maybe you should leave. She said, hang in there, pray about it, hang in there. So I do remember she was a spiritual person, and she's just a positive person,
Okay. All right. Auntie Paula.
Well, whenever I get in these kind of settings, I always think about what, it's like when somebody says something like that to me about my mom, because for 50 years I had my mom. So I could tell you a whole bunch of stuff out of the 50 years. But one of the funniest things that I remember about Mom was how she was my greatest cheerleader. And she also was the person that could correct me when stuff wasn't right. Two things. Number one, and I tell people this all the time, when I first started working, and I was a single mom for a long time, and I remember calling her up one day and saying, Mom, I don't have any money left. And her response was, "Did you pay all your bills?" I said, "Yes." She said, "Well, praise God." And keep it moving. And another time, I remember calling her. This is when my husband and I lived in Fort Collins, Colorado. I remember calling her up and telling her, I said, "Mom, people are saying that I'm getting fat." And it was like a silence, and she was waiting for me to follow that up with something, I guess. And her response to that was, "Well, are you?"
Wait a minute.
And I said, "I guess so." She says, "Well, then it's time for you to do something about it, then."
Okay.
And Mom could be so no nonsense, when she did respond to you, but whenever she responded, you heard her, and as a mom, that's kind of awesome, it's like, like I said, she was my greatest cheerleader, so I really miss that, she's been gone for a while now, but I really miss that.
Okay. Hey, May?
Well, what I would like to say about my sister, she was my baby sister, but she always seemed like she was the oldest sister. I was a baby. She used to tell me, "Girl, you need to grow up. You act like a kid. Why? What's wrong with you? I gotta pray for you. When I go to church Sunday, me and my pastor, we gonna have to pray for you. You just scared of everything." And she was just so encouraging to you. When she got through talking to you, you just felt like a whole different person. And she was always had such kind words and such understanding, spiritual words,
Yeah.
And she never, everybody in the neighborhood called her Miss Humphrey. Here come Miss Humphrey. All the kids called her Miss Humphrey. And they just loved her. And I think everybody that ever met her just fell in love with her because she was a very religious and sweetheart. And when she passed, it was so many years that I just looked like I just couldn't get over it. Because the way it happened to her, like it was just a spur of the moment. And when they called and told me about that she was gone, I said, "Gone? Gone where?" And Courtney, Pat's son, said, "She's dead." And we had been together that morning. She, whenever I wanted to go somewhere, she said, "Just call me, I'll go with you." And once a month, my job, we have a breakfast for the retirement people on my job.
Okay.
She would always go with me once a month. And that day she passed, that's the last time we had breakfast, that same day. And that night they called and told me, that was the worst thing I ever heard in my life. It looked like it took me so long. It was years before I could just, just say, like the Lord came to me and say, "You just depending on her. It's now time for you to depend on me." Okay. And that's the only way that I could get in it, just kind of ease it.
Yes, ma'am.
And then year after year, I just got better and better. But look like when she went, it hurt me more than it did my mother. I don't know why, but I was just so close to her.
Yes, ma'am.
So.
Now, I want to follow up with you with the question. If you had the opportunity to speak to her in this moment, what would you say?
I was just still say I still miss you. It's just like it happened yesterday. And I've gotten better, but it's just something that lingers in my heart, 'cause it hurt me so bad. But as I've grown older, seems like the Lord has just lifted every year. It just get a little better and better. But some days it just, I think about my sister. So.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, where do I start? Mom lived with me for years, and even though we were close, she still had her little idiosyncrasies, kept stuff, and I knew my mom was a good person. I knew she was a great person, but I really did not know how great she was until she passed, and people started coming to me, saying all the things, giving her accolades for all the stuff that she did for people. One scenario was the lady across the street. She didn't even know my name. She called me Flora's daughter. And so, I would see her, we would wave and stuff, but she knew Mom more than she knew me. And she made the soup. Everybody know about my mama's soup. And she would make it for us, but I had no idea Mom was passing it on to her baby. Yeah, and we had a freezer downstairs, so, she said, well, are you going to continue to make her soup? I said, her name was Miss Worthy. I said, Miss Worthy, I think I'm an awesome person, but I can't get in my mama's shoes. I don't even want to try, because I ain't nowhere near ready to step in her shoes and try to take her place. So I said, the best I can do is give you what she had left down there in that freezer. After that, you on your own. The next morning, the birds, the squirrels, everybody in the backyard, they making all this noise, and I'm asking Marcus, what is going on? He's like, I forgot Mama used to feed the birds and the squirrels and everybody, all them. I said, well, you better go out there and tell them it's a wrap. Marcus was like, well, she got some stuff in the basement. I said, well, you go down there and get that and you tell. But it was just amazing. They only came Monday through Friday. They did not come on Saturday and Sunday. No.
She
She
trained
was
her.
gone right
Yes,
there.
and she wasn't there.
But
That
y'all
was
not
amazing.
being while the rest of these people.
Yeah, that's what gonna happen. And I'm like, So for a minute, my brother Marcus, who you guys named, he would go out there, because he was another one. He had the, that kind of nurturing, I'm like, that's not me. I can't be. Then the people from the nursing home, your mother used to do gifts for the women on Mother's Day and the dance. She'd make baskets for all of them.
My God.
Look at that.
And it's like, where did you find time?
Where did she find all this time? And then with you guys, her grandchildren,
She
had a short order kitchen, because this one didn't eat this.
Right.
This one don't like pork. This one only like turkey bacon. This one, I'm like, oh no. I'm like, my shoes was too big for me. I wasn't trying to get in them because I knew I wasn't going to be able to fill them. So when they would come in the morning, y'all figure out what one thing. Everybody got to do the same thing.
That's what she was doing.
Yes, because Hayes, even when she would go, like, come to your house, I tell, this AT here now.
Right.
Granny ain't here, so y'all figured out. Y'all, as a matter of fact, tell your parents to stop at McDuffie and bring your stuff, But she loved that kitchen. She loved her kitchen. She did, and she loved people. I can remember in grammar school, we still came home for lunch, and I used to have my class with me every day. My mama cooked lunch, and she never one time said, don't bring them kids here no more. Every day. It got to the point where the school called my mother and said, you do not have to feed those kids
every day. They had, we have a lunch program here at school. But see, that was back, you could do that kind of stuff. You can't do that kind of stuff now.
Yeah.
But I mean, she never one time said, if kids was at our house, we got ready to eat, she never said, tell them kids to go home. Yes.
Mama used to do that.
She did. She did. Big Mama, she
See,
got that. Big Mama would
go
feed
away from her
anybody.
house hungry.
No.
Nobody.
And it made me feel so, because we have a cousin, one of my dad's cousins that we met, and she 88, is she 86? And I went to her house, and I felt like I should have been trying to cook her something, but she's a spicy little, like this one right here, and she said, "Ooh, my mother would she would come to me in my sleep tonight if I let you leave here and not eat nothing." She fried me chicken. She has made she makes homemade rolls. Baby. So she pulled that out. She had some kind of banana bread. I mean, when I left there, I felt, and I had just, okay, Cousin Belle, I'm going to come and visit, and we're going to just sit. She does the ancestry stuff. Mm-hmm. So I was really into that, and she really helped me with that. So that's basically what I was going for. I wasn't going for a meal, But she just, and I guess that's just that hospitality from the old school people. They just feel like you have to eat something, break some bread with me at my house, So that's how my mom was. She said my grandmother was. So I guess that's why me and this AT so cool, because, see, we feel the same way. I will cook, but it's only when I want to. Okay. I ain't gonna tell you. You can just drop by.
Ain't see me on our way.
Yeah,
right.
My mom would be like, "Okay, y'all, come on." Then she would come get me. We gotta go to the grocery store, while Mom, cause such and such coming over, and I need to get, But that's just how she was, and I loved her for that. I did. I really did. And I'm like my aunt. I miss my mother for a long time. Wow. The way I dealt with her death was, she was on vacation. Paula came, I think, twice. We was going to go in her room and clean up. And both times we went in there, we acting a fool, screaming and hollering and crying. So Lawrence, my husband, was like, "Would y'all just come on out of there?" He was like, "Why y'all keep going in there? It's not time." He was like, "We don't, just close the door. It's not like she lived in an apartment. We had to go get out. Leave it alone."
That's what I used to tell her. I say, that room, now my room look just, I used to say,
Mama had,
how in the world
She
do you
had
stay in this room?
Had
How you
everything.
find anything?
Yeah. She found
And now
everything
my
she
room
needed.
looks,
And we didn't realize how bad it was. Carly, my daughter, would go in there and sleep. And she was sleeping. She said, "Mom, can I ask you something? And don't get mad at me." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I want Granny's room to be my room." She said, "But I want my furniture in there. I don't want Granny's furniture in there." So at that point then, we did have to go in there and clean it out.
but I used to say, "Girl, why don't when you leave here, you lock your door so they kids can't get in your room, all this stuff, your bed." And she said, "I don't want a room where my children can't come and get in my
We
bed."
used to get in that bed.
Everybody.
She died. Sheila got in it and we couldn't get out.
We couldn't get out of it. And then when she got out of it, Carla got in it. And that's when Carla was like, "Mom," because Lars, he's scared of, he wouldn't even go in there. But he said, "Hey, girl, going in there sleep." And I mean, Carla would go in there every night and she would go to sleep. We hadn't changed nothing in there. Everything was just like it was. And he said, "How's she sleeping in there?" I said, "She ain't scared of her granny." Right. And that was probably comfort to her. Mm-hmm. Because I think, all of us took it hard, but I think she took it the hardest because she was the youngest. And she really didn't understand. Ma just laid across her bed and went to sleep, and she didn't wake up. Right. And Carlin, at the time, she was 10, 9, 10. She didn't understand that. She just couldn't proceed. Well, something had to happen, And I think that was Mama's way of comforting her, When she would go in there, I think Mom probably was talking to her, and you know, comforting her, because she said, I think I just want to stay in here, but I want my furniture in here. And that's when we had to, you know, take all this, and then that's when we found
everything.
my mom she had our report cards from Our Lady of Lords. She had all kind of stuff. I mean, it was just amazing. It was a history trip in itself. Me and my brothers went in there, and clothes, books, clothes.
How do you get in your
And sweet stuff.
Oh yeah,
right.
Don't leave out on the sweet stuff, because she had a stash of her own sweet
her
stuff.
headboard,
candy.
The headboard had all the cakes.
And I did want to.
How we gonna?
Okay, so Shani, what is your fondest memory?
I have definitely a lot to talk about, but I guess right now where I'm at, spiritual wise, and I'm growing a closer relationship with God. The one thing that stick out to me about Grandma is the Bible reads that she used to do. Like, I would see her up first thing early in the morning, and I could recall her studying the Bible and reading the daily word and having all these different devotionals early in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll go out and play, and she back studying the Bible again. And then in the evening time, we just running all around the house, but she's in the living room reading her Bible again. So I just recalled that, and I'm like, where did this come from? And now I find myself early in the morning, before everybody wake up in my house, I'm praying, and I'm seeking little devotionals to just, you know, get a closer understanding of His Word and how that applies to my life. So I definitely recall that, and I just recall the having the opportunity outside when my mom and dad separated, having that opportunity to go to Grandma's house. And I remember getting in trouble, like I ran away from home to get to Grandma's house. And everybody was looking for me. And I was like, I got on the bus from my house, probably would have walked the mile, walked the track where Daddy would take us to walk from my house to Grandma's house. And I don't know how I got there, but I did. And I recall Grandma asking me, where was I at? Because they were like a nervous wreck. And it was during the summertime, so of course, the air conditioner was on. So it's the middle of the night. I don't know, after 12 o'clock, everybody looking for me. They don't know where I'm at. And I remember making it to Grandma's house, ringing the doorbell, and nobody could hear the doorbell. And I slept in Uncle Lauren's car. And I'm like, why did I lie to Grandma and say I was in the backyard? Because she knew that was a lie, because it was like the stoop. I woke up the next morning and I popped up, and everybody like want to whoop my butt because nobody know where I was at. And the only lie I could come up with, not knowing that I could just be truthful and say, well, Grandma, I slept in the car because nobody would answer the doorbell. I told her I slept on the stoop in the backyard. And she was like, you couldn't have slept on no stoop in the backyard because ain't no stoop in the backyard. We pulled that up. And I'm like, I don't know, but I just remember her telling me how important it was to like just be truthful, and how important it was to, and I see that just tie into my walk with God right now, just being truthful to myself, not having to explain myself to anyone. And I just connect that with Grandma right now, because it's just like that my walk with Him and my faith is it's stronger than it's ever been. And I could just recall those little things that now I find myself doing. And even when Grandma would fuss and say, like, you asking so many questions, we just said this in the car, you ask so many questions. And I'm like, well, I wish now, as I'm an adult, I wish now Grandma said not to ask her so many questions, but ask those questions, because that's how I feel like that's how I have grown. And if it wasn't for the questioning, and if it wasn't for just that structure, I don't know where I would be. So that's what I remember about my grandma for right now.
You say
go
for
on
right
and
now.
I know about it because there's so many different, I don't know, just not only just different memories as it relates to her, and it's a beautiful thing to be a part and amongst you all because you hold those different memories, but you're able to share those, and the whole point of this too is to be able to share and have them. I know people could ask you individually, but how awesome is it to get together? Her sister, her daughters, and her niece, and then granddaughter. To be in the same room together and to really be able to validate what each of you are saying because you were there, and you can say, well, yeah, this is why this means this to me, and then this person can say, yes, this is why this means that to me too. And so I want to ask, because I know we were talking earlier even about bridging the gap, building a legacy. Now that's our vision, but we talked about how the generations, we want to try to keep those connected. And so I want to ask the question, period, and each of you can start and you may chime in. But, how do we continue to make strides to prepare for the next generations after us? Because we know, like we mentioned, Flora Pearl was a part of the peer group that she had where they taught us family. And that's something that certain traditions have been passed on to the next generations. But how do we continue to make strides to even pull those babies in that we talked about, the ones that we feel like they may be doing things that we may not necessarily agree with or really understand, but what can we do to make strides to make it better and to help bridge the gap, build a legacy?
I think communication is key. If you don't communicate with people, you start, I know with my girls, both of them, I've accused both of them of assuming what I'm going to say, how I'm going to react. But when you talk to me and I say something totally different, then you all like, I didn't expect for you to say that because we didn't talk about it. And it's so important, people feel like because they're adults now, like you're talking about your boys, that they can do their own thing. Well, yeah, you can. You can do your own thing, but the importance of having people like Meme still alive that you can go to and you can talk to and you can, I talk to her 2-3 times a week. It's like, and I know like Charmaine talk to you every day. To the day. All day. My point is that. I could go to Charmaine and ask Charmaine anything about Meme and she'd be able to tell me because she talked to her every day.
Right.
When they can't find me, they call Charmaine. Cause
Right.
Yes.
Cause I say, Charmaine, if any of them call, tell them where I am. Cause you're the only one that I've talked to today, and that's what they do. Charmaine, where's Auntie Meme? Have you heard from her? Where is she? Okay, she can tell them because she knows.
Amen. But
I think for the young people now, all this technology, I think you should talk on the phone. All this stuff you all got going now.
Yes, ma'am.
People want to hear your voice.
Yeah.
This stuff they got knowing, you got to look on Facebook and all this stuff to know.
How you know about Facebook? How you know about Facebook?
I hear about it.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
don't know.
Know about it.
I
Yeah,
don't
no.
even know how to work this stuff.
Yes, ma'am.
Your people want to hear your voice.
Okay.
Don't be sending me no message about something I got to look and did. I want to know and say I love you. That makes me think you're interested. People should have more connection in words and voice, person to person, not this stuff you
But see,
got.
that's true because that's the era that you came from.
Well,
But see, the era that these kids are in now, it's a whole different thing because
that's why you say you got to teach
that's why
them.
they're telling each other. Because, I used to leave messages and nobody ever responded. So, one day I just said, Carla, she said, Mom, leaving messages where? I say on your voicemail. She said, Mama, don't nobody listen to no voicemail. So just text me. Then, you know, me, since I've always had to compose letters and stuff, I talk in the real, you know, I don't do all that abbreviating and all of that. Mama, just call me because your texting, it's too long. It's just too long. I can't deal with it. You taking up 5 and 6 things at one time. It's just too much. But what I think we have to do as far as our, you know, we have to let them know. I don't like all that either. But I had to learn how to do Facebook. I had to learn how to do all that because that's the communication. Especially these young kids going away to college. They not picking up no phones calling nobody.
Yes, they do.
I'm just saying, they don't do it as a norm.
They want something, they'll do it real quick.
No, and I think too that's what we have to do with our generation. We have to compromise.
Yeah,
Right.
we do.
You know, because I didn't text either. I mean, I wasn't fond of that because I'm like my sister. I don't like abbreviating stuff.
All that stuff, and
But
I don't know the codes like they.
What I said to my grandsons, especially that one that's just gone off to college, I said the same thing you said, man. I have to hear your voice. And I can tell by your voice if you okay.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So once a week, I want to hear your voice. And so he's honored that. Yeah, every week I hear.
Okay, well that's once a week. He could probably go along with that, but not every time he talk to you.
No, and I'm saying, but that was our
compromise.
And see, that's what I think a lot of us don't want to. Well, I'm the oldest, so I don't want to do that, you know. And I don't like Facebook. I really think it's a tool that they need to throw in the garbage. But all of my young nieces and nephews, that's how I communicate with them, you know, because they're not going to pick up the phone and call me, you know. So I see them on Facebook, or I'll even chat with them on Facebook. They'll do that, you know. But that's pretty much how I deal with them, you know. When they out there with all that back and forth, I don't get into all of that. I don't even go on Facebook every day. But when I do go on there, it's like, it's so much garbage, you know.
It is.
You know, because now people have, you know, it was a tool that was really a cool thing, but people have taken it and like anything else that Americans get their hands on, then they make it something that, you know, it shouldn't be. But if that's how I'm going to have to communicate with you guys, then so be it.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, but like the Bible says, you should pass from generation to generation. I mean, that's how our kids, I mean, from us, they didn't have all this technology
and that's why we didn't do it, because
we had to remember, and you taught your kids from what you were taught. So to me, if they don't do it every day, like you say, maybe once a week, you want to hear their voice. You want to, you know.
Well, that's not only with my grandchildren, but with my children too. You know, it's like, and I said that I remember trying to communicate with my granddaughters who are older. They're older than my grandsons, and my husband looks at me and he says, "What are you trying to do?" I said, "I'm trying to, communicate with my granddaughter." He said, "How you trying to do that?" I said, "I call them and they won't call me back." And he said, "They don't call, they text." So he will get on his phone and say, "Call your grandmother," and then they call right away. So I'm just saying, it's like Pat said, we don't want to do that compromising, and in order to build that bridge that because I think that, honestly, my generation of people failed. They were so busy trying to make it better for our children, instead of doing that communication and doing that teaching that our parents did with us. We were giving you guys stuff and things
in place of your time.
Yes, and we weren't teaching. Word of God says train up.
We weren't training up. Because we
I
got
wanna-
this modern technology
That's what I'm saying.
So,
But
but you
And but see,
should've
that's the
kept-
thing, and I appreciate you saying that because I've been in different conversations, and that has come up where who wants to take responsibility for that? So that's huge for you to even say, you know, hey, I recognize even if the rest of my peers
but most
don't.
of us do. We, because I say that all the time. We have failed our children drastically because we gave them too much stuff. And I think what happened is we came into an economical thing where, you know, we start making more money, we start doing better. But overall, we lost the respect of time for our children. We lost the respect of teaching our children the right and wrong of things. Because morals and values, because we pacify them with stuff. You know, I listen at Jamar, Jaminda, all the kids when they get together. And they'll say, "A.T., do you remember when you took us to blah, 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 blah?" No, I don't say that to them, but I don't remember that. But they remember that. But I one time asked them, "What did I buy y'all for Christmas in 19 blah, blah?" They looked at each other. We don't know, because people seem to think that if their kids got all of this stuff,
Then they're gonna be good.
then they're okay. But then they're not. They really aren't, because when I go to different forums and listen to young people talk and whatever, what I hear them say to me is, "Miss Pat, you don't know our story."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, baby, what's your story?" And then they tell me some of the stuff that's actually going on in their houses.
Wow.
And I'm saying to myself, "Oh my goodness." I'm like, "Are you serious?" And one little guy told me, he said, "Miss Pat, people say just go home." He said, "But my home was worse than the street."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Are you?" He said, it started with my grandmother, all of my mama, all of her kids. Now we all got kids. And it's just a mess. And nobody is trying to fix it.
Right.
It's just out, you know, we put our kids out there. I'm listening to all the crime and all of this going on. Half of the kids aren't even of age. They're 14 and 15. At 14, why are you somewhere your mama them don't know where you at?
Yeah.
And it's sad. And then we tell our children, you know, okay, you get 18, you supposed to know better. But how they gonna know better if nobody ever taught them any better?
My son said that recently, and he was just talking about even some of his peers, because he said everybody expects you to become 18 and then you're supposed to go. He said just because the society says that you can legally sign a contract, but that doesn't mean that I don't need you to, you know, to be there. So he said I have advantages because you have been that to me, and then also with my dad. But he was like, with other peers, they don't have. He said, I see my peers hurting. You know, because they don't have
what I had.
Right, you
a
know.
perfect example. My granddaughter is 12. She does a after school program on Thursday. She's in on a debate team. So they get out at 5:30. So now at 5:30 it's dark outside. You know, it's nighttime.
Yeah.
So Carlin picked her up and she says, little boy he's just standing out there. So she said, "Sweetie, I'm waiting on my mom." So she said, "Well, can you call her?" No, she don't have a cell phone. Now, he got a cell phone, but his mother don't. Now, ain't something wrong with that picture. But Carlin sat out there with him for almost an hour. His mom never showed up. So she said, "Well, sweetie, I got to go home because, you know, I got stuff to do. So where do you live? I'm going to take you home." So when she got to his block, there was nowhere to park. So she said, "Well, Kennedy, you get out and go with him, and if his mom's not there, then y'all come back, and he just gonna have to go home with us, and we'll figure that out." But I wasn't gonna leave him. Now, when he rang the bell, his mom let him in. So Carla, she said, "Mom, I'm missing something." Why wasn't she up there trying to get her child? But see how our kids get thrown out in the street. Now he's 12. He got to walk home 5-6 blocks. It's 5:30 at night. Who knows what he's gonna encounter between school and home. And so
in the city of Chicago.
Thank you. But you see what our children are dealing with, you know. And when I hear, you know, like I have 2 girlfriends. They don't have children. So they are very insensitive to the world and what's really going on out here and all that kind of stuff. And we were talking back in the summer about the police that shot one of the little boys because he had stole some highfalutin car or something. And, you know, he got what he did. No, he did not. I'm like, boys do stupid stuff. It probably was a dad. Who knows? One of his little friends, man, I bet you can't do that. Why would you kill this baby because he stole? You know he's a kid because you already done got a tracker on the car. He probably don't have any money, so when he run out of gas, the car gonna sit somewhere. Just wait till he get out of it. Why would you have to kill him over a car? And so they were saying, well, he had no business. We already know that. But kids, especially boys, do crazy stuff. And I said, and I'd be willing to bet if it was some of them other people, they would have dealt with that situation a whole different way.
Yeah.
Taser.
And I wanted to know, Tam, just even with you, with the generation right up under even AT's generation, and along with me as well, what are some of your thoughts about continuing the strides, you know, to bridging the gap?
Like I started to say earlier, my thing is that I think the men need to step up and actually be more present at a lot of stuff. I mean, a lot of even family functions, you always see it's more women than there are men, or if they come, then they want to lead. And so, like, I had this joke going with Carla, because she's like, Courtney is not a role model. So yes, he is, because I have to thank Courtney. He helps to even give advice to Lyndon and to Naeem. Now, I don't know sometimes what he's telling them or whatever, but just to give them that perspective of, you know, like what it's like being out, you know, in the street, you know, how to handle yourself. Don't get caught up with this. Pay attention to that. So it's like I say, I think it starts with trying to get the men to come back into the family get-togethers and not just like Kwam and Joseph, you know, my husband included. If you come and stay, you have these boys, you know, able to see how families work. And the reason why I say starting with the men, because I think if these young men see how you should treat women and how you should treat your mama and how you should be respectful to other people that are older than you, I think the women or the young girls will follow suit and say, hey, you know, that's not ladylike for me to show up even though I'm with my family, I'm going to show up with my, you know, all my stuff hanging out and this new trend and style and stuff that, you know, they're wearing stuff that's halfway cut off, halfway covering them. It's a way to be modest. And I don't think that they're getting that. So again, I think it starts with, that's my opinion. I think it starts with men training young boys and the older boys coming up now how to be men.
Okay.
And once you become a man, you learn to respect women. And I think maybe it'll bridge the gap then. But until they have that, until more families, like you were saying, you know, he's going home probably to a single mom. It's no male figure, probably.
It was some male figures there, but there wasn't nobody he wanted to follow behind. He said,
and sometimes all of them aren't doing a positive thing.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it may be that you don't want to follow that role model.
Sometimes it has to be somebody in the community. Sometimes, you know, it don't always have to be your dad. It could be somebody anywhere that, you know, but I don't think people are afraid now to reach out to kids, or because, you know, every time, you know, it's like it's crazy because, you know, kids cussing you out, they the ones shooting you and everything, you know. But I think at some point we have to take our communities back, you know, and I think what it is, yes, and I think what it is you might have some 50, 60-year-olds that still don't know how to be a man. you know. So you gotta start somewhere. And the positive role models is because when kids sense that you're telling them something they want to hear, they flock around you. And they'll confide in you, and they'll tell you some stuff that you probably don't want to hear, but you have to, because you need to kind of steer them to the right way. So you don't want them to just go ask anybody. You want them to be able to ask somebody where they're gonna get some sound, and then they might not even listen to it, but you still got to keep telling them, because at some point, hopefully, it'll click.
And Shawnee, I want to ask you, because you're in the millennial generation. So you are the generation that a lot of our elders, they don't understand, and in some ways, and then some do. But what are your thoughts as it relates to bridging the gap, and basically how do we do that?
We were having a conversation a couple of Sundays ago, and Quan mentioned, like, I walked up to a guy, he didn't listen to me. A young guy, he didn't listen to me. But had it been a woman that said the same thing he said, he probably would have listened to it. And I feel like our community right now is not as nurturing. Most of the young kids, and I'm a teacher, I come across it every day. The young kids I deal with, is not that they don't know, because they do have some structure. They do have the morals. They appreciate me praying with their kids at school. I think it's more the fact that we don't talk about it. And when we don't talk about it, and let's be honest, we don't talk about the black family, is really like what separated us, because it's a lot of black families. These kids aren't coming in from single parent homes. They have both their father and their mother present.
But is he being a father, and is she being a mother? Just because they're in the house don't mean that
the roles. That's when you go into the roles and the gender roles, and what I'm just basically saying is who's doing the nurturing. Because if both the mother and the father need some nurturing, the kids don't have it at all. And they are in the household. We used to fight and say they weren't in the household. But now we seeing them present. We seeing them there. But they still don't have that nurturing piece.
Because
they
most
grew
of
up
them are
without
trying
it.
to get stuff. So it's more important to work. Someone work 2 jobs just to have all that stuff. Be able to buy them kids them $300 gym shoes and all of that foolishness. And they're not spending any quality time with their children. And, so they thinking because I put a roof over your head and, I buy you everything that you want and need and blah, 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 you should be okay. But if you're not putting anything into your children, you're not going to get nothing.
Well, it used to be different in the not just in the classroom. If a student came in with both their parents, they were like mannerable students. Like you could tolerate those students because you had support of both the mother and the father. You saw that they worked hard. You saw that they did like the time, like you knew, like for projects, I knew this family was still gonna make sure Johnny had his project at school when it was due, no matter what time was not there. Because time is of the essence, and we all earn and our keep. So I knew that family, I knew Johnny was going to be cool. But then Edward, who got both his mama and his daddy in the home, he still don't have that support. Yeah, because they don't have the support.
Exactly.
So it's just like, that's that nurturing piece to me.
And then you also
it is, and I know that
yeah.
I could go off the father who might be running the streets, and I could look at that's when we can go into stereotypes. We can go into all these different classifications, and the bottom line is that nurturing piece is very critical, because Auntie just said tonight, my generation lost. Like we were trying to combat time with material things, But I don't think you did that because I had grandma. So when my father or when my mother was working or whatever, I still had a foundation.
Yeah, but that's you.
My grandmother's not 60, 70 years old no more. They 30 years old in my classroom.
Yeah. That's
And
why it's
it's
6
a
generations of people.
Right.
So nobody's have actually been trained to do anything because everybody's still a kid. And then you got that grandmama, the great-great-grandmama, who's maybe 50. And then she got, because everybody had a kid at 12 or 13 years old. So you got all these kids that still need to be raised, and there's nobody to take control, because I look at with us. Big Mama was our matriarch. Whatever she said, it went. I don't care who she said it to. Hey, that's how it was going down.
She didn't raise her voice.
No, and she didn't have to cuss and fuss and all that. If she said it, that was it. And that's how it went. But now, people don't have that.
Right.
The grandparents, they scared of the kids.
Yeah.
They scared of them. Girl, I don't say nothing. And then we got parents that can't,
You can't say that.
my sister, I can't say nothing to her kids. Me and her get to fight. What are you showing your children? That's just like the other day at DuSable or Dunbar. Kids got and they say they were girls.
Yeah,
They got to fighting in the street. It took 3 district of police to come and break them up.
Wasn't some adults involved in
Yeah, some of the mamas
Yeah.
and the aunties.
But the older man was the one who came to try to. He said I couldn't do nothing.
No,
either.
you got some females that's out of control. He probably better be glad that they didn't hurt him. Because when you got some and that's another thing. What are we telling our children? That's how you handle stuff? Right. Y'all get in the street and fight about it?
Some people like to
fight. People like to be
and that's
messy.
the thing. And it just seems like, because what I hear, and I was just listening to kind of everybody, even with what you're saying, it is about the family structure. It is about the communication. And Mamie was saying the connectedness. Then you were saying be willing to compromise. And you're saying that even look at what those dynamics may be. It may not always be the traditional what you see, but it's almost like each of you then you have a part to play. Whatever your role is, even with that, it may be you saying to your husband or saying to the men in our family, hey, you all, when y'all get together, when the boys try it, see if it works. Me coming here today, I didn't really know it wasn't a script like that. I have what I do for the podcast, but I was just Holy Spirit, have your way. Whatever we're to talk about, there was certain things, but it's then bring it together. Mm-hmm. So this is something that collectively is going to assist other groups that I even facilitate.
Listening and communicating too. What I do personally is I mentor young women. Mm-hmm. Okay, I listen to them. I remember having a conversation with one of them, and she has 2 daughters, and I fuss all the time about how black women, and I found out that it's not just black women, it's women period, how they treat their sons differently than they do the daughters. Absolutely. And so I just go on and on and on about that. And she said, Rev, do you know anybody that's doing it right? And I said, yes. She said, well, you use that as a model, and instead of you talking about it and putting it down, help those people that want to be helped and give them the good model of how they can do it correctly.
Right.
Because
Because even with Shawnee, she said, well, maybe and other children didn't have that. Well, her thing is because grandma was there, that she then used that with the students that she does deal with on a consistent basis. So if her thing is to just be able to pray with them, maybe that's what they need in that moment. And whoever, whatever child gets that, somebody is gonna take it and do each one teach one. It's he or she, whoever it is, when she does that, it's because that's what grandma did for me.
Amen.
I mean, for me to 2001. I mean, she passes away, but 2011, 10 years later, then I find do it and found a nonprofit organization in her honor because of what she helped instill in me years prior. I didn't really know. I got a vision to do it in 2004, but I didn't know what it would be. I was like, okay, I didn't know the name, I didn't know anything. I knew I had a passion, and I still have for women and girls. And I know, like, the relationship with mother and daughter is very, it's a touchy, but it's very vital for our not just our communities, but definitely in African American communities, but in communities in general. I went to get my mammogram, and the mom, we just started having a talk, and I was sharing with her about my book coming out because it was prior to it coming out, and she was saying she said if she had her daughter first, that she wouldn't have had her two sons. The two sons came first, but she said we have so much friction. And I told her, I said, I'm going to, when my book comes out, I'm going to come back with her daughter. Her daughter's the third child that came. But she had the two sons. She said if the daughter came first, the two sons weren't going to be in they wouldn't have came because of the risk. But she shared a little bit more, and I was just like, but she's Caucasian. So it's not just us. No. And they're well to do. Like she said, because that's what she was saying, that her family had to struggle. But their family, they can give her things. She gets stuff. But she was like, she just seems ungrateful. And she's just, every time we get together, the boys, like, they're okay. But she has to be the one to start the riff. If they gonna have, I gotta have something to wear. I have to, just the drama. And it's like, why you gotta, and the dad is there. Like, it's not like they don't have the family.
And he's like, let my baby have whatever she wants.
Because I don't even want to deal with, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like, it's across the board. It's not just even one thing. But then this came, okay, well, this is what we're gonna do. And whoever shows up, even when I hold different things, it's about who wants to be helped. Just like you said, who wants to be helped, even with you mentoring. Use that motto. Whoever wants it, when they get it, they're going to touch somebody.
But from dealing when I was working in the teen clinic, people want to say it's our kids. All these kids are trouble.
All of them.
They're all trouble. I don't care how much money they mama and them got.
But see, the problem is not in the African American community. The problem is not that our kids are not just like everybody else. The problem is that they get the short end of the stick, just simply because of the color of their skin. Prime example is the three basketball players that went over to another country, and in the biggest store that you can come up with, and that's what my husband says. My husband says, they're boys, they're kids, and they do stupid stuff.
Boys do.
Because that was the opportunity of a lifetime
talk to them?
Boys do stupid stuff.
Did somebody talk to them and tell them when you go out the country you can't do that kind of stuff?
But see,
he says, no.
My thing is, with certain kids, everybody know their kids. They might not want to admit it, but everybody, what they're capable of doing. Exactly. So my thing would have been, who's that? Courtney's class, when he graduated from Morgan Park, they went to Paris or Rome or somewhere. And I went up to the school and I found out it wasn't the school sponsoring it. It was some of the parents. But the school just allowed them, to have, privy to their stuff. But when I found that out, I'm like, oh, you honey. Because, see, I know Courtney in La La Land somewhere. Not that he going to steal anything of that, but he would have probably got lost from the group because he done found somebody. They talking about something. He done went on somewhere. I'm like, going out the country? No, dear, you won't be going. No, you cannot go. If I can't go, you're not going. But see, that's what I'm saying. Everybody know their kids. Now, Carla would have been fine. Right. Because she ain't finna listen to nothing nobody saying. Ain't nobody gonna talk her into nothing. Right. She ain't gonna get sidetracked with nothing. Ain't none of that gonna happen. But him, I know him. He could saw some guys, and they could have just, we're going over here tonight, so come on, let's go. And he'd be like, okay. And then next thing you know, he don't know where he at, and I'm like, boy, no,
Well, I watched TMZ to see their reaction on that particular issue, and they were saying the same thing that my husband Dale was saying. It's like the black folks on TMZ. The white folks on TMZ, they need to be locked up. When China locks you up, you're locked up for a long time.
And they have
or you go die.
They send your butt back home, and they got and they can't play. They couldn't play.
Well, naturally they're not.
But that was the purpose of y'all going down there in the first place. But that story don't surprise me.
Not at all.
I had a guy who I went to college with. He it was already predestined for him not even to make it to U of I. He went to Weston House. He was like, it was predestined. Like, you a guy from the hood, you gonna stay on this block all day. And that predetermined destiny for his life carried him when he went to U of I. He had all the words, motivational speaker. He could captivate a room, but he still had that passion to get a little extra money, no matter how it was, because at the end of the day, he was also sending money home to his mother, taking care of her. She couldn't send him down there to school. She couldn't drive him to school. He had to get on the Greyhound to come down there for the first day of school. And he didn't have that support.
And see, now, where was his folks? Where was his aunties and his uncles and his cousins?
But he decided he wanted to get up out. I want to get out of this, but how could you?
Well, that's
everything
just
was already
like,
destined for you to
that's
fail.
just like Lawrence's older sister. She adopted some kids. And the baby girl, Brenda, who was born a crack baby. And just to show you how God can work and change stuff, this little girl got a full scholarship to go to one of them schools downstate. I don't know which one it is. But, my sister-in-law is 75 years old. This is her mom who adopted her because she got her when she was like 3 months old. And she was one of them babies, she was going through withdrawal, so she would cry all the time. My sister-in-law would get her, rock her, and sing spiritual stuff to her. And she said, before my baby started school, ain't none of this gonna be a problem. Brenda thrived so. So when you got ready to go down to school, she going with her friends' mama them. And I'm like, girl, you got 900 cousins. Why are you going down there with somebody else's mom and dad? So I got on the phone. I called Courtney. I called Twin. I called all of them older cousins. Y'all got a cousin, Carlin and all of them. Y'all need to get behind her because she don't know what to do. My sister-in-law don't know what to do. My niece Poochie, her sister, she had since moved to Mississippi because, see, all her girls went to school. And so I'm saying she don't know what to do. So don't put her in the hands of somebody else because they may or may not, we'll take her down there, but we don't care nothing about what's going on.
She's not a part of it.
Yeah, she ain't really our kid, so we don't have to be bothered with that. And she did. They did take somebody. One of them took her down. They did take her down. But she struggled. And I told them, y'all should have been in touch with that baby every day. First of all, she come off of the middle of the hood in the west side. She went to a predominantly white school. She hated it.
Yeah.
And like I told them, this is an adjustment for her.
Yes, right.
It ain't like she went to some lily white, school where, she used to these people now. It's a whole different world for her. Because her life, police cars, running through the street, niggas running through the street, and it's like, to her, this is a whole, and I can't deal with this.
Yeah.
And she did okay in her freshman year. But then when she came home, she didn't want to go back.
Really?
And see, that was so sad. And I was telling Carl and them, you all failed her. Because you all should have been encouraging her. Right. Girl, go on down there, do what you got. It ain't going to be long.
But you can't do that to somebody when you don't have it for yourself. That's the biggest part. That's the biggest key that's that.
But that's not true. That's not true. Because when my friends and y'all went to school and stuff, I didn't have to go to school to want y'all to go. I didn't have to go to school to encourage. That would be my thing, girl. Don't be like me. Don't be 50 years old going back to get your bachelor's degree. Girl, get your stuff now. Yeah. Don't wait till you get old like me and can't remember stuff. You 19 years old, you're like this, and I would go into class, take them tests, and them young kids take them tests, they up in 10 minutes. I'm still sitting there like on the second question, like, oh my God. And it just bothered me to that point. And I know when you go back as a real adult, you have a whole different mindset about stuff, you know. But it's an experience, and that's what our kids don't ever get to learn. College is an experience. It's a stepping stone to get you to your next level. It's not about the classes you took and all of that. They just want to know, are you disciplined enough?
Yep.
But it also is about a blueprint, and I'll share this because I had to share this even with my son recent, because he's algebra. That's a challenge for him. Well, for me, algebra and trig, that particular subject, I got a D in it. I graduated with an advanced academic diploma from high school, but it was because my other grades were on point. But I was like, okay, I need to get up out of here. Like, whatever I need to do, that's what I need to do to do what I got to do. But I was telling him, though, but even going to college, though, and I'm not going to blame the professors. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm saying I really didn't have a blueprint to really stay in school. And I went to UAB initially. And it was because my mom worked there. You get half tuition. But it wasn't because I knew how to stay there. I ended up being on academic probation with a 1.9 because you talk about classes where they even curving grades. And I'm still making a D. I'm like, you curved the score for everybody. Who made the highest score on on a test or whatever? But I'm just saying that was a new experience, even coming off of this from one of a high school that was validated, and it's one of the top schools in the state. But still, I graduated with that, but I wasn't necessarily prepared for college because I didn't really see that. And I remember Granddaddy saying, we want a doctor or lawyer in the family, but what do I have to show me how to get there? And it was like, I don't knock anybody, because I had to go back. I ended up going back as an adult. Yeah, you're more focused and things like that. But I was like at 19, 18.
But it's like, I tell you the story of me when I got out of high school. When I got ready to graduate from high school, back in the olden days, I got ready to do my senior year, and talked to my dad, because all my friends were, going off to college, and I didn't know that. It was like, excuse me, I want to do that too, And my father's response to that was, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. They don't know either. It's like, he said, you're not going to waste some professor's time and my money, and you don't know what you're going to do. Now, for somebody who finished high school, my dad finished high school and had some college up under his belt. That's the thing that, it's like we talk about now. I want my children, I made sure that my girls were on point. I made sure that they were in the right place. When I'm telling, Jaminda, she wanted to go to, what do you call it, the black schools? What
The HBC.
The HBC. We go to Washington, D.C., and she wanted to go to Howard. Well, Howard is cool inside that campus. But outside that campus is the ghetto.
That's all of those.
But I'm just saying, my baby, like you said, my baby was not ready for that. And I know my child. She did not grow up in that kind of environment. She went to high school where she was a minority.
Right, that's how it was.
And we used to call it the United Nations, because it was a melting pot of every ethnic group. And to me, that was most important, because that's the way the world is made up of. I don't want my babies to go out there and deal with the world and be like me, where the only white people that I knew was my nuns and the priest. Or when I got to high school, my teachers. That's it. So when I went into the real world and started working, everybody who had dark hair, they were Italian. Everybody who had light hair, they was Polish. That's what the world consisted of. African Americans, Italians, and Polish people. But I'm just saying, it's like, and my parents didn't, I praise God every day that my parents didn't teach me to be prejudiced. We weren't taught that. We weren't taught that just because of the color of somebody else's skin is different than your skin. These kids are taught that. They see it, they experience it, and they don't want to be bothered. But guess what? The same thing that we tell every other ethnic group, we got to deal with one another.
Right.
We in the same world. God put us in the same world, and not only that, He put us in the same world, but for each one of us to have, just like you have a gift, you have a gift, you have a gift, each one of them have a gift. And we need to find out, what is that?
Right.
And how can
And connected.
I connect with that? You know, it's like,
How can we
I love
coexist
to look
together?
at
yes.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like that's really what, you know, even with the organization itself, that's what it's about. You know, about being able to build those healthy relationships and partnerships in those different areas. You know, and with the gift, and then also helping to birth out those gifts. So I mean, that's really what we're trying to do. And even in starting in settings like this, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be this big setting. It's being able to voice, and you have a voice, and you even have a thought about something to be able to put it out there. So yeah. So I want to kind of move into our closing segment, and we're going to end with something fun. So if you had the opportunity to speak to your 4-year-old self, what would you say to her?
Wow.
My 4-year-old self.
Yes.
I would like for it to be a little older.
Well, your young self.
Because 4 years old. No. I mean, when I say a little bit older, okay, what would you say to yourself if you were back in, like, say, 5th, 6th grade, that kind of thing?
Well, come on,
For
you
me,
say that then.
saying, okay, and I thought about that question because, you know, I watch Oprah's Sunday morning thing come on Sundays when she's talking to people. And she always asks people, you know, what would you say to yourself back then, or this, that, and the other. For me, I think that I would tell myself to hang in there. The storm is not something that I'm going through by myself. Other people have gone through it. Other people come out of it. And that regardless of what you do mean something to somebody.
Okay.
Because a lot of people, you know, so with our professions and everything else, like you said, we try to give our kids stuff to make them feel either loved or wanted or whatever without, well, I won't say without spending the time, because I spent the time with my boys. But just to go back and say that, you know, it's a mountain, but lean on God or somebody, you know, guide your angels to help you get over this mountain. Don't just try to say, well, you know what, I'm tired of climbing, let me do something else right now, because don't give up. And I think that's where, if I had done things that way, I would be a little bit further than where I am now.
Okay.
And I think that even spiritually, I feel disappointed in myself, because I feel like at my age and what I know, and, you know, going to church and everything, you should be able to progress and to grow. But I still feel like I'm still back here. And Flora would tell me all the time, you got so much ammunition to fight the devil. I have so many books. She had books. We would go to the Harvest Christian bookstore right there on Western. And, you know, we go in there and I buy some books and Flora get some books. And she looked in the back of my car then at the time. She's like, you got all these books back here? I was like, yeah. She said, you should read them because you have the ammunition, but you just getting beat up and beat up. So, yeah.
Okay. What about you?
Be persistent.
I'm like you. I can go back to 4.
Your young self. Let's change to help
The
you
one
out.
thing that I would change, because most of the experiences that I've had in life have made me the person that I am today, so I wouldn't change. But health-wise, I would. I would not have started smoking as early as I did. My parents allowed me to do that, and when they told me that it wasn't good for me, I said, "You do it." So, why can't I do it? And my dad said, "Okay, go ahead and do it."
Okay.
But that's the reason why, I encourage, when I'm mentoring to young women, I encourage them to take care of their bodies now, or take care while you're young, because when you get older, the Word of God says that, this body is going to deteriorate. We know that. But it'll be a slow progression, or it will treat you, I remember my brother telling me that was one of the things that eased me about my mom's passing over, was that she expressed to him and told him she watched something on TV, and she said she asked the Lord to, take her quickly, because she did not want to burden her family or suffer. And so it was very hard on us, all of us, but it was awesome for her, because it went really, really, really quickly. And so smoking messed my lungs up, and I can hardly breathe now because of that. It's like I didn't get cancer, but I've been diagnosed with that other stuff. So it's like taking care of my body better, my tempo.
Okay.
And at the time I didn't know that, nobody expressed it that way, and I think maybe that would have helped.
Okay. And May?
Well, I don't know what to say, but I know both of my parents, they drink. But I tried smoking. I said, "What is smoking?" Everybody just puffing. And I said, "Let me try this." I couldn't get anywhere with it. Every time I tried, I'm coughing and about to choke to death. I said, "I'm going to just chew me some gum. I can't." Every time they see me, I'm chewing. They drinking and puffing and smoke coming out their nose and their mouth. I'm trying this. I said, "I don't see no sense. What is the fun?" And they start trying to tell me it's some kind of taste, or what is it? I never could get any sense out of liquor, getting drunk and acting crazy. I said, and I just couldn't do it. I look like my mentality tell me this is not for you. So I didn't get hung up on that kind of thing. I didn't smoke, never. I couldn't stand liquor. I said, this stuff so strong, it cutting your insides out. What is people getting out of this? So it never just got me hooked on anything like that.
Okay. What would you tell your younger self? Thank you, Pat.
If I could go back, I wouldn't have to go back to 4. I probably would go back to maybe my high school years. I would have pursued my education on because at some point, and now I think about it, but I think they say you're never too old, but I don't believe that at this point, because you start to not remember stuff like you did, as years go by, you get your new, and I tell people, they laugh at me, but I was like, I think the space in your brain starts to not deteriorate, but shrink, so you don't be able to keep a lot of stuff up there. So my daughter tells me all the time, because I asked her stuff, not that I've forgotten, I just don't remember because I ain't trying to. And she said, "Ma, I just told you that such day." I said, "Girl, look, I done told you my brain. I gotta pick and choose what I store up there now, because it ain't a whole lot of room like you got." I said, "You half my age." So I think I would have pursued my education and I probably would have gotten my doctorate. Because I like school. When I was in school, I loved school, But with all the stuff I had going on, I was a wife. I still had Carlin in high school, So I still did well, but I enjoyed it. And like they are doing these online classes and stuff now. See, I don't think I want to be into that. I like to talk to the professor. I like to go into the classroom. But then that's just my generation. But yeah, that's one thing that I think I would have changed. Everything else was on point as far as I was concerned. I would have just pursued my education.
Okay. What about you? And I know you have.
I'm young. I don't need to answer that question.
Well, you can go to 4.
Yeah, you're right. You was there 10 minutes ago. So you can go back to 4. You probably remember some stuff.
Well, I didn't go back to 4.
None of us did.
Went back, yeah.
But, I mean, you went back farther than me, but to me, I was like a teenager before. I mean, I don't even think about going back to 4.
Well, she just throwed a number.
But I'm just
And I said
saying,
younger
I
self.
couldn't even think about me being back to 4.
Well, that's what I said, man. So if you can't,
Okay.
I think I would tell my younger self to stop seeking gratification from people, period. Like I always was wanting confirmation. When you do good, everybody say, oh, you're doing good. And it was just like, I already know I was going to do good. That was just like, for me, I felt like that was already predetermined. Like, you got to be great. And the school was not a problem for me being great. Like, once I got past 5th grade, I was a honor roll student. And I realized, okay, school is my safe haven or what have you. But I always just wanted gratification, even from the people who didn't tell me I was doing good, just to assure myself, but I really didn't need that. I would definitely tell my younger self, you didn't need gratification from anybody, because I already knew what I wanted at that time. So me seeking advice or approval from other people, it really wasn't what I needed at that time, because I feel like I made some of my decisions probably would have been better decisions had I not sought out others' people's approval.
Okay, it's good.
So it has to do with the id and the ego. Again, just like Oprah says, everybody wants to know that they meant something in life. You had a meaning in life.
not everybody. Unfortunately.
Well, probably even on some people who you may not think they do, but everybody. I do know one thing she said was everybody wants to know that they were heard.
Okay.
Like even when you speak and you say something,
Yeah.
you may not get it, but at least like allow me my thought. Allow me to own what I believe to be true. Like you don't have to agree, but we can agree to disagree.
Amen.
And so that's kind of, I think that's what we're all just wanting, just period, that you either you hear me, you don't have to agree,
Right.
but that you at least heard me out, and that's just respect to me. That's what that's about. So ladies, I just want to thank you all so much for sharing with us today and just being with us. So thank you. And our goal at the Flora Pearl Foundation is to always be a blessing to all of those that we come in contact with by operating with the spirit of excellence. We want to thank you all so much for listening today. And you can visit our website at www.florapearlfoundation.org. We look forward to spending time with you all each week, and we will talk to you soon.